Hello and welcome to this session on Selenium 4. I'm Raghav, and in this session I'm going to go very basic step by step, so do not worry if you are a complete beginner, and if you want, after this session you can also take the Selenium quiz on my website automationstepbystep.com. And with that, let's get started, and I will start from scratch from very basics, and we will learn what is Selenium 4, what are the new features. We will then set up a project with Selenium 4. In this session, I'm going to use Java and I'm going to use Eclipse IDE, and then we will write our first test with Selenium 4. We will see the browser actions in this part, and in the next part I will discuss and show you all the elements, locators and selectors. So in this session we will see how to open a web page, how to get the URL or the title from the browser, how to do forward, back and refresh on the browser, how to switch windows, how to open new tab or new windows on the browser. We will see how to close browser and all the commands. We will then see how to handle frames with Selenium 4, how to adjust the window size and position, how to do max, minimize and full screen with Selenium 4. We will see how to get the screenshots, and then finally we will see how to execute JavaScript on the browser using Selenium 4. So this is going to be very easy and very interesting. So let's get started and you can follow along with me. And here Selenium 4 is the new and improved version of Selenium, and it is the latest release of Selenium with some really good features and improvements. One of the very prominent feature or improvement in Selenium 4 is that now with Selenium WebDriver, we can directly communicate or interact with the browser, and we do not have to use the JSON wire protocol as earlier. Now, just in case you want to understand how Selenium used to interact with the browser, you can go on my website, that is automationstepbystep.com, and here if you scroll down you will find a playlist for School of Basics here, so you can check here, and this will take you to my YouTube playlist called School of Basics, and here you can see this video, how Selenium works. So this is the video, and here I have explained completely from scratch how Selenium interacts with the browser. So earlier we used to have a lot of APIs in between and JSON wire protocol, which is now no longer there, and now it follows the World Wide Web Consortium, that is W3C protocol, and it is much faster and easier. And then we have a lot of new functions added in Selenium 4 that we will see in this demo. We have multiple windows and tab management functions, and now we have relative locators. So in Selenium 4 now we can find the elements using neighbors. For example, we can use functions like above, below, left of, right of and all that, and that we will see in the part 2 of this series. So now let us start. We also have a new documentation of Selenium, which is not a part of Selenium 4, but in general Selenium has a new website and improved documentation. And let me show you. If you go to the Selenium official website, which is now selenium.dev, you can see all this improved website, and here we have the documentation. You will see a very clean documentation here. So this is a new documentation for Selenium, and with that let's get started and let us first see what are the steps we have to do. So we should be having Java on our system, and for the IDE I'm using Eclipse. So you can go on your system, and I'm on my Windows system as of now. I will open command prompt, and to check Java version I will say Java space hyphen version, and here I am getting the Java version. So that means Java is installed on my system. It is a older version of Java, but that's fine, it will work. If you have a newer version, that is also fine. Now just in case you do not have Java, you do not get an output of this command, you can go on my website again, automationstepbystep.com, and here under the programming section you will see a Java playlist. Here you will find videos on how to install and set up Java on Windows or Mac operating system. And for Eclipse, you can see, you can go here IDE and editors, and you can see Eclipse here. So just in case you want to have Eclipse, you want to download and set up Eclipse, you can get it from here. So this is kind of a prerequisite for us. You should have Java and Eclipse or any IDE that you can work on with Java. And after this, I will go to the third step, that is, we will now create a new Maven project on our IDE. So I'm using Eclipse. Let me exit from my command prompt and I will open my Eclipse. Here it is. And I will create a new Maven project. So I will go to File, New, and I will go to Maven. I cannot find Maven here, so I will go to Others and start typing Maven. I have got this Maven project here. Select and Next. And I will say create a simple project, skip archetype selection. And here I will say Next. And here I have to give a group ID. I will say com.selenium4. You can give anything here, .org, and here artifact ID I will say Selenium 4 project. You can give anything here, and I will say finish. And it has come here. So we have got our Selenium 4 project created. This is a Maven project. If you expand this, we should be having a pom.xml file here where we can add our dependencies. So we have done this step. We have created a Maven project. Now we will be adding the dependencies for Selenium 4. And for that, go to your pom.xml file, and here I will first create a section for dependencies. So I will say dependencies. I'm also getting this auto suggestion. You can press Control spacebar on your keyboard if you do not get it. And yes, a start tag and an end tag for dependencies, and between this we will add all our dependencies. So for Selenium 4, let me go to Maven repository or Maven Central, search for Maven Central, and here is the Maven repository, and I will search for Selenium Java. Now I will make more tutorials of Selenium with JavaScript and other languages. For now, let us focus on Java. So here is Selenium Java, and here we have got the latest version, and it is a very recent version just released few days ago. So this is the latest stable version of Selenium 4. Just copy it from here and add to your pom.xml file between the dependencies tag. I can also press Ctrl A and Ctrl I to correct the indentation, and as soon as you will save your project, it will download all the Maven dependencies for Selenium, and you can see you will have a Maven dependencies folder here, and here if you scroll down you can see it has downloaded all the Selenium dependencies. So this is one of the major advantage of using Maven. All this will be taken care by Maven, all the dependencies management. And that's it. We have added the dependency for Selenium 4. Now we also need to download the browser drivers so that we can run our test on a browser. I will show you a way how you can skip this and how you can use WebDriverManager. But for now, let me skip this step and I will show you what happens if you do not add a browser driver. So then, just in case you want to convert and work with TestNG, you want to have this project as a TestNG testing framework, you can add a TestNG plugin and then also a TestNG dependency. So the TestNG plugin will be added in Eclipse and TestNG dependencies in your pom.xml. But for now, I'm not doing that. I'm having this session only to show you the different features and functionalities of Selenium 4. But just in case you want to add TestNG, you can do that. I in fact have a complete playlist for Selenium Java framework on my website here or YouTube channel as well. You can go from here, Selenium Java framework, and this will have all the videos where you can see how to add TestNG. So this is a complete Selenium Java framework, and you can see all the TestNG videos will be here. So if I just search for TestNG, you can see here how to install TestNG, what is TestNG, how to use reports with TestNG, all this is here. So for now, I will not use TestNG. And now we are ready to create our first test. So here step number 1 is I will create a new class and create a main method in the class. So here I will just close this. I will go to my src test java folder and I will do a right click. I will create a new package first. I will call this as test You can name it anything. Inside the package, I will again do a right click and create a new class. I will call this as first test, and you can check this to create a main method, public static void main, or you can also create it separately. So I will just say finish and my class is created. I hope the font is fine. I can press Ctrl and plus on my keyboard to increase the font. I hope this is fine for you. So now I will create a main method inside the class. I can say main and press Ctrl spacebar on my keyboard and I get this auto suggestion. So this is the main method. And if you are using testng, then you can always give the testng annotations, but now I will keep all my code in the main method for this demo. And now I can now create my code, and do not worry about this, I will show you what to do. So here first thing is I will say WebDriver equals new Chrome driver. So if you are using a Chrome browser, you will say Chrome driver. If you press Control spacebar, it will give you auto suggestion. This is what I'm using. And here there is a red line under WebDriver. If you hover over this, it will show you suggestions. So you should be getting this imported from org.selenium. So org.openqa.selenium. Let me again go here and I will import this from org.openqa.selenium, and you can see the import statements here. Now also you can press Control Shift and O key on your keyboard to manage all the imports, and I should also be having a semicolon at the end because this is Java. So this is how we create a WebDriver object, and using the WebDriver object now I can navigate to a website. I can say driver.to and I can say driver.get. So driver.get is the command. I can also say driver.navigate.to, and let us say I want to go to https://google.com. So now I will try to run this. I will do a right click, run as Java application, and let us see what happens. There is an error. If I go to the console, you can see it says the path to the driver executable is not set, and you should be setting it, and there is also a link that you can go and check. So that is because we have not used the browser drivers, and for that we will have to say system.setProperty, and here we have to say, so here we will use this command webdriver.chrome.driver for Chrome browser, and then give the location of chromedriver.exe. So I will say webdriver.chrome.driver, and here to give the location we first have to download the chromedriver.exe. So here I will go to my browser and say Chrome driver download. Now in a moment I will also show you a way to skip this manual step, but for now let me go here. So this is the website and you can see all the downloads. Now here you have to be a little careful. Get the version of the Chrome driver which is in sync with the version of the browser on your desktop. For example, this is my Chrome browser on my desktop, my primary browser, and if I go to the help and say about Google Chrome, I can see the version here is version 94. So I should be getting the Chrome driver as well, which is for version 94. So I will get this one and I will get it for Windows, which is this one, and that's it. So once this is here, I will unzip it, I will extract it, and it is here. Now you can keep it anywhere on your system and then give the location in your code, but a good way is you can keep it within your project folder, so that once you take your project folder anywhere, you can also take your browser driver along with it. There is another way that you can keep it at any location and add the path of that location in your path environment variable so that it can be accessed from anywhere. But for now, let me just create a folder inside my project. I will do a right click on my project and say new and create a new folder and say the name is drivers, and I will put my Chrome driver under this. And sometimes if you do it directly on Eclipse, it may not work. So let me just open it. Sorry, I will have to open this folder on my system. So let me go to properties, and yes, from here it will get opened. Yes, so this is my drivers folder, and I will manually take my Chrome driver and put it in this folder, and that's it. Now I can close all this, and on my project, now if I do a right click and say refresh, I should have the Chrome driver here. So now I have to give this location here, and you can give the complete location, that is the absolute path, or because this is now in my project folder, I can give a relative location. I can say dot, which uh, which is the location of my project folder, that is Selenium 4 project, and then forward slash, go to the drivers folder, and then we go to the Chrome driver.exe, and that's it. You should have a semicolon at the end, and that's it. I will save and I will run again and check. So here, let me see, we have done this. So we have set WebDriver driver equals new Chrome driver, and here this is all fine. Okay, I think there's a spelling mistake. This is Chrome driver.exe. Save and run again. And yes, looks like this will now run, and it goes to google.com, and it has not closed the browser because we do not have any command here. So I can add the command here for closing the browser as well. So here I will say driver.close, and it will now close the browser as well. And let me run it again. It opens the Chrome browser, goes to google.com, and then closes it. And now we can also have some wait here. So if I go to the Selenium official website, and here if I go to the documentation and getting started, and I will say here how to upgrade to Selenium 4, you will see some changes here. So these are what was before and what is after Selenium 4. What are the code changes for finding elements? This is how we used to do before, and this is the new statements or commands now for finding multiple elements. And then this is how the maven dependencies, Gradle dependencies, and all these in different languages. And here you can see how to manage the timeouts and waits. This was the code earlier, and this is how it looks like now. So let me copy this, and I will put it here so that I can also test it. You can see it says driver.manage.timeouts, and then we can set the implicit wait, we can set the script timeout, we can set the page timeout, and duration is coming from java.time. So I will import the duration class here, and that's it. And I can set what is the timeouts I want. Let us say I want 5 seconds for implicit wait, script timeout is 2 minutes, and page load timeout also, let me keep it 10 seconds, which is fine. And I will now test it again. So this opens google.com and closes the browser. So this is fine, and we are able to create our first code with Selenium 4. We have already done step number 2, that we have ran our code, and this is all working fine. So if you have done this as well and you are following along with me, so congratulations, you have ran your first test with Selenium 4. And now we will go and see how we can use WebDriverManager to manage all our browser drivers without we having to manually download and set up the browser drivers. So WebDriverManager is a library that can manage all the browser drivers for us. I had earlier created a video in my Selenium Java framework as well. So you can see this one, WebDriverManager. I have shown here how to use WebDriverManager for beginners with examples. So you can check that, or let us do this now. So here step number one is we have to add the dependency for WebDriverManager. You can go to this website bonigarcia.dev / WebDriverManager to get all the information. But for now, I will directly go to the Maven repository and search for WebDriverManager. And here this is coming from this one. Make sure you get it from io.github.bonigarcia and go here. This is the latest version. I will go here and I will just copy the Maven dependency and go to your pom.xml and I will just add the Maven dependency here, and I will say Control A to select everything, Control I to correct the indentation, and save, Control S. And as soon as you will save, you will have all the dependencies added. So you will see all the WebDriverManager dependencies will be added here. So it has come here. Just in case sometimes the save option or the when you press Ctrl S does not download all the dependencies, you can always go to project and then you can clean and build automatically. Then it will get all the dependencies added. So we have done step number one. Now step number two is we just have to add this code webdrivermanager.chromedriver.setup. So I will say here in my code, I will say now I do not need this. I do not have to manually download chromedriver.exe and set its path. I will say WebDriver Manager. You can also press Control Spacebar for auto suggestion. Dot chromedriver dot setup, and that's it. That's the only thing we need. And let us see what happens now. I will run this and check. So it opens the browser, so that means it is working fine. It opened the browser, goes to google.com and closes it. So that means it is working fine. If I check the console, you can see it is starting the Chrome driver, which is the latest Chrome driver, and then it is taking care of everything without we having to manually do that browser management. Now sometimes it will get the latest version which will work for your system, but sometimes if you want to get a specific version, even that you can do by adding the function driver version. So let's just say suppose I want let's just say suppose I want some particular version. Let us say I want this version of Chrome. So I will say here WebDriverManager.ChromeDriver, and then I will say dot driver version, and I will give the version here and dot setup. That's it. And again I will save and run and check. So it still opens the browser, goes to google.com and closes it. And if I now check the console, you can see it has got this version of Chrome driver. So you can get a specific version, and similarly it will work for Firefox and other browsers as well. Just in case you want to try, you can go to the website of WebDriverManager. So if you go to WebDriverManager, and here is the website, and you can see here all the details. So all the documentation, how it is used, and all the support here. You can check all the details from here. So if you go to here, this is the documentation, the latest one, and you can see how it works. And then for different browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Opera, iDriver, how to set up and how to use, everything is here. So this is how we can use WebDriverManager, and we can skip the manual management of browser drivers. Now let us go to browser actions, and for that let me first create a new class for browser actions. So I will go to my test package, do a right click, new, and I will create a class and I'll just name it browser. So I will know all my browser related actions are in this class. I will again create a main method, control spacebar for auto completion. And now first let me just copy this code so that I do not have to write it again. So this is my initial code and I will say driver dot close at the end, and that's it. And now here first we will see how to open a page. So I can say driver.get or I can say driver.navigate.to. So here I have already used driver.get, and if I want I can also say here driver.navigate.to, and then I can give the URL here, and then there should be a semicolon at the end. So let us say I want to go to HTTPS, and I'll go to my website automation step-by-step.com, and let us see what happens. I will run this. Sorry, I will have to first do a right click and say run as Java application, and let us now see. So it goes to google.com and then it goes to automationstepbystep.com and closes it. So both of these actions or commands we can use for opening a web page. The next action is we can get the current URL by saying driver.current URL. So I can say driver.get current URL, and just to show you on the console I will print this out. So I will say syso and I will press Control spacebar on my keyboard for auto completing the system.out.println statement, and this I will put inside the print statement here, and that's it. So it will get the URL. Let me also see what is the next action. The next action is get title, and again I can say driver dot get title. So again I will say here syso control spacebar, and I will say driver dot get title. So it will also print the title, and let me now run it and check. It opens the browser, goes to google.com, and then goes to automationstepbystep.com and closes it. If I go to the console and see, so this is the URL and this is the title. So this is the title that says never stop learning automation step by step. And if you see here on my website, this is the URL, and if you see the title, it is never stop learning automation step by step, and that's what is printed here. So this is working fine. And then if you want to do a forward, backward, or do a refresh of the browser, you can use all these navigate.back, navigate.forward, navigate.refresh. So let me show you here. I can say driver.navigate.back, driver.navigate.forward, and I can also refresh my browser by saying driver.navigate.refresh. Now it will be very fast. So just to see what's happening on the screen, I will add some wait statements. So I will say thread.sleep. Now this is a hard wait. It is not recommended to use this in your actual project, but just for now to show you the demo, I am using this thread.sleep, and as soon as I add here, it tells me, if I hover over it, tells me either I have to add a throws declaration or I have to surround this with try catch so that I can catch the exception. For now, I will say add throws declaration, and I will just say throw interrupted exception in my function heading here, and then that's it. I will also add this thread.sleep here, and also just before closing the browser. I will save and run and check. It opens the browser, goes to google.com, then automationstepbystep.com. It goes back, goes forward, refreshes. So it is refreshing now, and then finally it will close. So all this is working fine. So these are the common and very basic actions. Now the fifth action is we can also switch windows. Now this is very handy and very useful. Sometimes in your browser on your application, if you click some link or some element, it opens a new tab or a new window, and if you want to switch to the window or switch back to the original window, we can use this switch to window. So here I can say here window dot get. So I can just say driver dot get window handle, driver dot get window handle. So every window has got a ID which we can get using the window handle, get window handle, and I can actually store it in a string. So I can say string, and I can use any variable, let us say original window, and then I can say here driver dot switch to window, and I can give the variable name here. So I can say driver dot switch to window, and I will give this variable which has my original window handle. So I can use like this, and let me say I keep this here just after google.com, and then after navigating to all these, I'm finally switching to the original window. So let me now save and run and check what happens. It opens the browser, goes to google.com, automation step-by-step.com, forward and backward and refresh, and yes, refreshes, and it closes. So as of now we do not have a new window, but in a moment I will show you how exactly this works. But for now, just remember, whenever you have multiple windows and you want to switch between windows, you can always store the window handle and then switch to the window. This is a browser action for switching windows. And then if you want to open a new window and then switch to that window, you can say driver dot switch to new window, window type window. So I can say driver dot switch to new window, and I can say window type is, I will say window here, and that's it. And I will save, and I'm just commenting out the driver.close so that we can actually see if the new window is created or opened. I will save and run now. Let us see. So it is going to google.com and then all this, and now it is refreshing, and now yes, you can see it has opened the new window. So a new window is opened here, and for now I will close it manually. And similarly, I can also create a new tab and switch to the new tab. So I can say driver.switch to new window, and I will say window type is tab, and let us now see. I will run this, and all this is happening as per our earlier commands: forward, backward, refresh, and now you can see it has opened a new tab here. So we can see here we have a new window and then a new tab as well. So this is a new window, and then it went back and opened a new tab as well. Now here let us try our earlier action, that is for switching with Windows handle. So here let us say driver.switch to window handle original window. I will cut from here and paste it here, and let us now see what happens? So we had stored the original window after going to google.com. So when we went to google.com, that is our original window, and after doing all this we are switching back to our original window. Let us see now. I will save and run. It opens the browser, goes to google.com, and this is our original window now. Then automation step-by-step.com, and then again forward backward, and it will open a new window, a new tab, and then you can see, let me just close this. Let me just close this manually, and here I will comment out all this. I do not want to go to a new browser or a new application, and also I'll just comment all this. I will say /* and I want to comment until here */. So all this is now commented. We have all this, and without switching to the original window, let us see what happens. I will save and run. Goes to google.com, and you can see it has opened a new window, and then it has also opened a new tab. Now the last moment, it was the control was on the new tab, but if I use driver.switch to window, original window, let us see now. I will save and run, and let us see what happens now. It opens the browser, and yes, you can see now it has switched back to the original window, that is google.com. So now we can see it is working fine. And now I will also uncomment driver.close. So here, this is how all these actions are working. The seventh action we have already done, that is open a new tab and switch to the new tab. And then we have also already seen closing browser, driver.close and driver.quit. Now when you say driver.close, it will only close the current window or the tab, but not the complete session. But when we say driver.quit, it will end the complete session of the browser. So let me say we have driver.quit, and for now let me just comment this out. I'm only using driver.close, and I will run my code. Let us see, and you can see here it has closed the last opened tab, but it has still not closed the complete browser session. But when I say driver.quit, now this will close the entire browser session. So let us see. I will run this, and you can see everything is now closed. So that is why we use driver.close and quit. So these are the basic actions, and now we will move to frames. Now currently frames are not very much used in web development. So from HTML5 onwards, we have very less use of frames, but you may have a scenario, or you may have a situation where you have to deal with frames. Let me first show you what is a frame. So let me show you some example. If I go to some website which has frames, this website must be having frames here, and yes, so this is a website with frames. You can see 3 frames here, and one of the ways to find out if it is a frame or not, you can do a right click and you will see view frame source, reload frame, all this. And also if you go to right click and inspect, you will see in the DOM, you will see iframes here. So if I see here, you can see here iframe. So if you see this tag iframe, then that means it is a frame. Now earlier, whenever developers have had to show some ad or some third-party content, frames were used. So all the third-party content or ads were used to show in frames, but it is no longer used now very much. So still, if you have anything like this, you can use the frame actions or commands in Selenium. Now let us say if I have to click on this alert button, I will first go to this website. So I will say here, let me just comment all this. and I will say here driver dot navigate dot to, and I will use the URL, which is this, and then let us say I have to click on this alerts link. This is an alert link here. I have to click here. So for that I can say driver dot find element by dot, I can use link text. So do not worry, I will have a separate session on all the locators and selectors in part 2 of this video. But for now, I will just say find element by link text alert and then click on it. So dot click. Let us see what happens. I will save and run. So it opens the browser, first goes to google.com, then goes to this website, but you can see it is not able to find the element and it is not able to click. And if you see the console, here it says, you can see it says here there is an error, and the error is it is not able to find that element. So you can see here all this here. This is the error, no such element, so it is not able to find the element, and that is because the element is inside a frame and we have not yet switched to the frame. So for that we will first need to switch to the frame, and for that we have actions in Selenium. So you can switch to frame, you can say driver dot switch to and then give the frame name or the frame ID. Let me show you this. I will first have to switch to the frame. I will say driver dot switch to dot frame, and I can use the index of the frame. If you know what is the index of the frame, it starts with index 0, and if you know the index of the frame, you can use the index of the frame, or you can also use the name. For example, if I do a right click and say inspect, I have to check what is the name of this frame or the class. So if I go here, this is the frame and the name is package frame. So you can see here the name of this frame is package frame. This is the iframe. So I can just say here, I'll copy this and I will use this here, and then I will click on the link after switching to the frame. Let us now see. I will run and check again. So it opens the browser, goes to the application, and you can see it has clicked on the alert link. So it was very fast. I can increase the timeout here or the wait time, and you can also use, so here you can use a CSS selector as well. So here we have used dot right container, which is the class name in case you have the class for the frame. So you can see here is the class left bottom. So you can say first find the element by CSS selector dot left bottom and then iframe, like we see in this example, and then you can switch to the frame, or in this case like I have done, you can directly use the ID or the name, and then you can also use the index position. Now after doing this, if I have to click on any other element which is outside this particular frame, so I have switched to this frame. Now if I have to click anywhere outside or use any other element, I will not be able to do that until I switch back to the default content, and that is very important. So whenever you switch to a frame, after doing your actions inside the frame, always switch to the top level window by using the command switch to default content. So first I will say here driver dot switch to default content, and then you can do the rest of the actions. So I will run this again and check. So it goes to the application, clicks on alert link and switches back to default content, and then it closes it. So this is how we can use frames in Selenium 4. Now let us see the window management in Selenium 4, and first let us look at the size management. So you can get the width and height of your browser window by using driver.manage.window.getSize. So I can say here, let me first comment this out until here. and then I will say driver dot, so I will say driver dot, and we will say manage dot window, manage dot window dot get size, and then I can get the height and width. So I can directly get width like this, and I can also get the height. So I have to say get width, and then similarly I will say driver dot manage dot window dot get size dot get height. And if you want, you can store it into a variable like I have shown here. You can use an integer variable and then can print it. Now you can do like this, or you can directly use a dimension type of variable to get the size, and then from that particular variable you can get the height and the width. So I can say I can use dimension, and I can say I can give any variable name, and I can say driver dot manage dot window dot get size, and height and width will be stored in this size variable. You will have to import it from org.openqa.selenium, and now using the size I can get height and width. So let me print it out, syso control spacebar for auto completion, and I will say size dot get width, and I can say size dot get height, and I will save and run this, and let us see, it goes to google.com, and if I check the console you can see the width and the height are printed here. So this is how you can get the width and height, and all these notes will be available in the description or the notes section of this video. So if you want to directly copy the code, you can get it from there. And you can also set the window size by saying driver.manage.window.set size and then give the dimensions. So I can say here driver dot manage dot window dot set size, and I will say I'll give the dimension, and I will say you can set the size here. So I can say any size, let us say 800 width and 600 height. So I can say like this, and let me see if anything is missing here. So this should be fine. Let me check here what it says. Okay, sorry, I added it as a string, which is not correct. It should be like this. Yeah, this is fine. And let me also keep the wait or the sleep time to 3 seconds so that you can see the new size of your browser window. And I will run this now. And you can see it has changed the size. It is 800 by 600, and then it closes it. So this is how you can set the window size. And then let us see the position, window management position. So you can also get the position and set the position. And here we use the get position function of the WebDriver, and then you can get the X and Y position of your window. So I can say here driver dot manage dot window dot get position dot get x, and you can store it in an integer variable and print it out as well just to check. Or you can also say driver dot manage dot window dot get position dot get y. So this will give you the y coordinate of your window, and you can also get it store it and then query it later by using a point type of variable. So you can say point, like we had used dimension for size. For position I can use point, and I will say position, or you can use any variable, equals driver dot manage dot window dot get position, and I will have to import the point from org OpenQA Selenium. And now I can say I will print out syso control spacebar. I will say position dot getx and position dot get y. So let us see this. I will save and run, and let us see what is the x and y position of our window. And you can see as of now it is 1010. So in the console you can see it is 1010, and this is relative to the top left corner of the monitor. So this is what our position is, and we can also set a new position by saying set position. So I can say here driver dot manage dot window dot set position, and I will have to give a new point type of data here, and then I can give the x. So let us say x I want to move to 500 and y I want to move to 100, and that's it. And let us now see. I will save and run, and let us see, and you can see it has moved the window to this position and then finally closed it. So this is how you can set the position, and I hope this is getting interesting. Let us see now. We will see how we can maximize, minimize, and do full screen of our window. So it is very simple. You just have to use the commands maximize, minimize, and full screen. So I will say driver dot manage dot window dot maximize, and then I will say driver dot manage dot window dot minimize, and then driver dot manage dot window, and I will do a full screen. And to see this in action I will have to use some wait time, or I have to use some sleep time. So let me just put a 2 seconds sleep between these actions. So I will say 2 seconds here. So this is in milliseconds. 2000 milliseconds means 2 seconds, and here as well. And that's it. I will save and run and check. So first it was maximized and minimized, and now full screen, and then finally it will close the browser. So this is all working fine. So this is how we can do window management in Selenium 4. Now let us move to screenshots. In Selenium 4 we can take screenshots. This was also available earlier. So now if you want to take a screenshot, you will have to typecast the driver in with takes screenshot class, and then we use the get screenshot as function. So I will say driver, let me comment until here, and I will remove this one so that everything gets commented until here. And now I will say takes screenshot driver. So this is my driver. I will typecast takes screenshot. If I press Control spacebar, it auto completes it. And then I will say here dot get screenshot as output type file. So here, okay, I forgot the brackets here. All right, now I will say output type file, and that's it. And let me also store it in a file variable. So I will say file src file. You can use any variable here, and I will have to import it. So let me see, I will get it from java.io. So that's it. This will take the screenshot. Now I will have to store it. So I will use the file utils and then copy it, and I will say, so here I will say file utils, and let me get it from, I will say file utils. So this is a dot copy file, and I have to give the source file, which is this one, and the destination I can say, so I can give any destination here. You can give any destination, and it's better to keep it inside your project. So I will say here dot, this takes me to the parent folder of my project, and then forward slash, and I can just say image1.png, and I will have to first add a throws declaration. So I'll just add this IO exception here. You can also use a try catch block, but let me just keep it as it is. And now I will save and run and check if I get a screenshot stored in image1.png file in my project folder. So this is done. Now I will refresh my project folder. I will do a right click and refresh, and you can see image1 is here, and it has taken a screenshot of the browser. So this is how you can take a screenshot. You can also take a screenshot of a particular element. So for example, let us say in this google.com, let us say I want to take a screenshot of this particular element. Let me do a right click and say inspect, and let me see if there is any property here. So here, yes, I have the class property. So I'll just copy this class, and I will say here, I will say I'll use the web element, and I will say driver dot find element by dot, I can use a CSS selector, and because this is a class I can say dot. In case of ID you can use hash. I will say dot, and this is the name of the class, and I have got a web element stored here. So I will also have to import the web element from org OpenQS Selenium. So this is now stored. Now I will just have to use element instead of driver. So here I will just say I'll copy this same command here, and the first thing is I have to change the variable name. So instead of src file I will say src file1, and instead of driver I'll just have to say element, whatever you have used as the variable name here. The same thing I will use here, this element here, and then we have to use the same file utils to copy. So I will just copy this statement here, and here I will say sources src file1, and here I will say store it image2.png. So let us now see. I will save and run again. So this time it should also take the screenshot of that particular element, and this is done. If I refresh my project, I have got image2 as well, and you can see image2, it has taken the screenshot of this element. So this is how we can take the screenshots. So this was interesting. Let us move to the JavaScript executor. In Selenium 4 we can execute JavaScript. So first we have to create a JavaScript executor interface object. So I will say JavaScript executor, I will say here JavaScript executor, and give any variable name equals to, and then I will have to typecast my driver to JavaScript executor. So I will say driver, and I will say here JavaScript Executor, and that's it. Also, let me comment all this until here. So this is how we create a JavaScript executor interface object. Now using JS, I can execute my JavaScript. So in case you want to get a return value from a script, you can, for example, in this example, we are having a button, and then from that button we are getting the inner text. So I can say js.execute script return arguments dot inner text, so it will get whatever is the inner text of that button. Or if you want to click on a button, you can do that. For example, let us say here on google.com, I want to click on this button using JavaScript. Let me first inspect the button, and here this button has a name. So we have a name property. So I will just copy this name, and I can first create a web element. I will say web element. I can give it any name. Button equals driver dot find element by dot name, and this is the name. Let me copy the name again. This is the name, btni, and then I have to use JavaScript to click on this button. So I will say js.execute script, and I will say argument 0.click js.execute script, and I will say here arguments. This is how we can run a JavaScript, and here I will use the name that I have used here, button. So this is how I can run a JavaScript. Let me save and run and check what happens. So it goes to google.com, and you can see it clicked on that button using JavaScript. And also you can directly run a JavaScript, and you can say write something on the console. So I can say js.execute JavaScript, js.execute script, and here I will say console.log, and I will say hello world here, and that's it. So let me just close it here, and I will run. And to see this, I will have to comment out driver.close and driver.quit so that I can show you it has written hello world on the console of the browser. So I will save and run now, and let us see. So it clicks on the button, and now if I have to check the JavaScript console, I will do right click and go to the DOM. I will say inspect, and I will go to the console, and you can see here it has written hello world. So this is how you can use JavaScript. Let me uncomment driver.close and driver.quit, and this is how we can run a JavaScript on the browsers using Selenium. So I hope this was very interesting, and I will tell you what all we will learn in the next session. And just to recap, today we learned the Selenium 4 introduction and features. We saw how to set up the project with Selenium 4, how to write the first test, and we saw all these browser actions. You can take a quiz on my website automationstepbystep.com, and in the next session we will deal with Selenium 4 elements, locators and selectors. That will be very interesting. I hope this was very useful for you. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.